Hi, I just wanted to inform you of a corruption in a lot of modern Bible translations of Hebrews 10:26, and they translate it. This is the NIV. I'll read out a few different translations and tell you what's wrong with it after. The New International Version. If we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left. New Living Translations. Dear friends, if we deliberately continue sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there is no longer any sacrifice that will cover these sins. Then we've got the English Standard Version. If we go on sinning deliberately after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins. Berean Standard Bible. I'm reading these from BibleHub.com. If we deliberately go on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no further sacrifice for sins remains. Berean Literal Bible, this one gets it correct. But if we sin willingly after we are to receive the knowledge of the truth, no longer remains a sacrifice for sins. The King James Bible gets it right too. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. And that's just a few of them. Here is NASB, New American Standard Bible, 1995. For if we go on sinning willfully after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins. NASB 1977. For if we go on sinning willfully after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins. Legacy Standard Bible. For if we go on sinning willfully after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins. Now, it's not too bad of an error if you understand that by go on sinning or continue sinning means that one sin after you've received the knowledge of the truth, that's willful, that's a free choice. There's no longer a sacrifice for sin then, if you understand it that way. But if you understand go on sinning or continue sinning to mean that it means a repeated action of sin rather than the moment you sin willfully after receiving a knowledge of the truth, then you're in error. Now I'll read the correct translation. This is from the Center for New Testament Restoration, their interlinear translation on their website, greekcntr.org. And it reads, willingly for sinning of us after the time to receive the knowledge of the truth, no longer for sins is being retained a sacrifice. Or in better English, I'll reorder it to make it sound better. For willingly sinning, we willingly sinning after the time to receive the knowledge of the truth, no longer for sins is there a sacrifice, is being retained a sacrifice. That's a bit better. And according to Bible Hub Interlinear, it reads, if willingly for sin, after we are to receive the knowledge of the truth, no longer for sins remains a sacrifice. So I hope that was clear. So it's a moment, it's if you sin willfully, one sin, after you've received the knowledge of the truth, then there's no longer a sacrifice for sins. Now understand that Jesus said, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So once you know the truth, you'll be set free from sin. So it's a complete free choice to sin after you have a full knowledge of the truth. So if you're struggling with sin, if you're not set free from sin through a knowledge of the truth, then it's not willful. So the sacrifice still applies to you since it's not willful sin. So I hope that gives you hope if you are stuck in sin. I'm just thinking, is there anything more I wanted to say? There is something more I could say, but I won't in this video. Now, so your sin must be a free choice, your free choice, and you must have a knowledge of the truth. For it to be for you to lose your salvation through it. If you're trying to be set free from sin and you're struggling, it's only a matter of time before you get a knowledge of the truth and become completely set free from it. So you need to know the consequences of sin. You need to know who God is so that you're afraid to sin against Him. The consequences of sin, and you need to know the sin and that it's wrong. There's some of the things you need to know to be set free, but there's more to it. You need to know, have a knowledge of why you're enslaved to sin and how to be set free from sin, which the Bible outlines. So Paul says that when we are baptized, we go down under the water and we die in Christ to sin. We die to sin in Christ because Christ died to sin for us. So then we are united in His death. Therefore, sin's already been dealt with because Christ died to sin once, and once you've died to sin, sin no longer has power over you. So just a moment, I'm just thinking what I was going to say. So sin loses its power over you through dying to sin in baptism. Then you're raised out of the water to live in righteousness as a slave of righteousness, united in His resurrection. The power of His same power that raised Christ from the dead is in you to set you free from sin. So it's both the dying to sin and being raised in Christ that sets you free from sin. And that's how you get set free from sin. But there's still other things. Like, I found that when I observe I think it's Deuteronomy 17, I'm not sure, I'll look it up quickly. No, I'm wrong. Might have been Leviticus 17. No, I was wrong again. I'm not sure where it is, but it speaks about hygiene laws for men and women. And so if you observe them, I found that that's helped me to be set free from masturbation. For I was stuck in masturbation for a long time, which had power over me. I didn't have power to stop, but now I do. And I found that because I was so observant about observing myself as unclean after doing it and taking a shower and washing all my clothes, and even washing the taps afterwards that I touched, and everything that I touched. It's such a burden that you don't want to do it anymore. And God gives you power not to do it anymore when you do that. And that's what helped me to be set free from masturbation. Yeah, it was Leviticus 15, and it was for various bodily discharges, which make a person unclean, and you have to go through cleansing rituals and offer a sacrifice after 7 days or something like that to be cleansed. Now, Christ fulfills those laws, but there's still, in truth, you can still consider yourself unclean after doing it, and then for 7 days, and then being cleansed through Christ after the 7th day. That's what I did. But remember that Paul said it's up to you about whether what you consider to be unclean. It's a matter of faith nowadays. Because Paul said, I perceive that nothing is unclean of itself, but whatever a person perceives to be unclean is unclean to them. So it's a matter of faith, but the Old Testament gives you a good idea of what your judgment should be concerning it. So you should consider yourself unclean after masturbating for 7 days. And anything you touch you should clean. And you should have it before having a shower, that is. So I hope you find that useful. Now that's about it. I don't think I have anything more to share. So have a great day and God bless you. Bye.